Hi, my name is Becky Jennings, and this is the Responsible Parenting Podcast. I give you the transformational tools to stop reacting to your children in the moment and start responding with intention. Do you find yourself locked in a daily power struggle with your child? Do you fall back into old patterns like yelling or threatening just to stop the annoying behavior? Are you desperate to learn how to connect with your kids, set boundaries, heck, gain some cooperation? If this is you, you need to check out my community. Inside my community, you'll have access to my signature strong-willed language course, where you learn how to regulate yourself, understand and speak your strong-willed kids' language to virtually eliminate the constant power struggles. You'll have access to my workshop library, giving you step-by-step strategies for sibling rivalry, listening, anger and aggression, emotional regulation, and more. You'll have weekly Q&A opportunities to get personalized answers on challenging situations. You'll get specific strategies for you based on exactly what's going on in your home. No umbrella strategy, no umbrella script, no bots. You'll get a personalized roadmap to support you. Plus, you'll get dozens of bite-sized lessons to regroup, stay on track, and stay motivated. It is time to stop walking on eggshells around your children and finally experience the release you are looking for. Join the community today and let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Responsible Parenting. I'm your host, Becky Jennings, and today we're going to be talking about guilt. And is guilt good for parents or is it not? And why are we going to talk about guilt today? If you hear any noise in the background, just know that's my puppy just gnawing away on a bone. So that is the noise you hear if it sounds like crunchy and like scratching and stuff like that. He can't be away from me, and so we just have a little bed set up and he has all his toys and bones next to him. Okay, so let's get into guilt. Now, is guilt good or is it bad for parents? And I'm going to set the stage real fast by telling you a story, a recent story in my parenting journey. The podcast for me is such a tool of accountability and such an opportunity to share, even though I am trained as a parent professional, even though this is my job, even though I give regulation strategies every single second of every single day, life can come at you hard and fast, and life can be really challenging. And I want to share those moments with you so that you understand that you are not alone in the trenches, that this is real life. And all we can do is continue on and continue forward and keep trying our best and keep practicing and keep showing up to the work. So I was back at home in with my parents. My mom is now in the house by herself. My dad is now in an Alzheimer's unit. And this was the very, very first time I was going to be visiting the Alzheimer's unit. I don't know if anybody is in a similar situation where their parents are older and they are in either a nursing home or, in my case, an Alzheimer's home. But there is a distinct vibe there. Granted, this is a beautiful home. The people are doing incredible work. And my goodness, are they just the sunniest people in a really, really sad place? But it is a hard place to visit your parent. It is a hard thing to see, to witness. And until you actually step foot, it's very easy to compartmentalize and think about all the pros. Like, of course, this is such a better experience for him. Of course, it's really good that he's in this place, getting the care he needs, having 24-hour surveillance, not being able to leave the house or not have access to anything that could possibly hurt him or my mom. On paper, of course, this is the best place for him to be. But when you see him in the environment, and you see the people and you smell the smells, it's really sad. It's really sad. And while I know that it is the best place, it can hit a spot in you emotionally that you might not be expecting. So I was up there and I ended up having to solo parent for an evening. And this was kind of like the culmination, like the last evening of being there. It was already an emotionally draining trip, but this was like kind of the tipping point. I had also, previously to this, I had solo parented for 3 or 4 days of the beginning of spring break. We then went up to my parents' house. I see my dad in his Alzheimer's home. I am solo parenting because my husband had to be away the last night. And as we are heading to bed, I should first state that my son's ADHD was on blast. Like, it was aggressive. And looking back, I now know that how could visiting an Alzheimer's home be very stimulating for a child? Of course, he's going to try to find things that are entertaining. Of course, he's going to try to create a game. Of course, he's going to get super curious about all the things and all the buttons and all the noises and all the things. This is a reminder to me post that experience so that I can remember it for next time. But this was a very challenging evening because not only did my son really challenge and really shift the focus on the very last day that I was with my dad, shifted it away from the goodbyes to him. And I was starting to feel very resentful of my son for kind of robbing me of this time. Not only am I solo parenting, I'm just really trying to get the last moments. I do plan on seeing my dad again. However, anything can happen, and we are not in control of any of these outcomes. So I'm really trying to soak up everything. And my son is just pulling my attention, pulling my attention, pulling my attention, having a meltdown, having a need, having a this, getting mad at me, exploding, having a meltdown, all of these things. And it's just so aggressive. And I'm starting to get really frustrated. Now, again, prior to leaving, I solo parented for three or 4 days. I can't remember at this point. 3 or 4 days. During that time, my puppy ate an entire chocolate brownie. Okay. I'm kind of hopping all over the place, but you'll see where I'm going with this in a second. He ate an entire chocolate brownie. We're on the phone with the emergency vet, and we figure out that I can actually induce vomiting at home, which I do. But at the same time I'm doing that, my son, again, is making it about him. I know that he is dealing with stress in his own way, but he is drawing my attention away from the immediate need in the moment, drawing my attention away from a really medically necessary moment for the dog, for the new puppy, drawing my attention away from my dad and his Alzheimer's, drawing my attention away and away and away. At the same time, during this solo parenting of spring break, the toilet backs up and there is water, and not clear water, a very lovely color water pouring out into the bathroom. And I luckily was the only one home. So I luckily am the only one who gets to clean this up. On top of that, packing for the entire house, getting all of my work ready, finishing up with clients, racing to the airport. We have troubles parking. I mean, it's just like the list goes on and on and on again. So many times throughout this experience, I'm trying to preemptively prep my son for discomfort. I'm trying to get ahead of it multiple times by stating what will be happening, giving him options of things he can do to utilize his time. And again and again and again, I'm getting ignored. I'm getting pushback. I'm getting hit from all angles. So this is the very last day. And I'm putting my kids to sleep after a really rough day with my dad in the Alzheimer's home. And once again, my puppy finds the Easter basket and he eats he eats an entire silicone muffin tin. He eats the silicone muffin tin, and the muffin tin was filled with chocolate M&Ms. So not only has he eaten chocolate all over again, but now we're adding silicone to that. And I fully came unhinged. I came unhinged. I had hit a limit that was, I was unwell. To say the least. I had sprung a gasket, and it was as if I couldn't turn the faucet off, and just stuff was flying out of my mouth. And I was just unleashing all of my dysregulation onto my children. And even still,
he's asking me for back rubs. Even still, he's asking for more things that he needed in order to feel regulated. So, needless to say, I felt really, really guilty about the way that I handled myself, about some of the things that I said. I can't even remember what I said. I just know it was not kind. And I felt really awful. And I tried to regulate myself. I tried to go into a meditation, but I just could not regulate myself. My Aura ring was telling me that even for like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours into bed, my heart rate was still super elevated, and I just could not regulate myself. I felt so sad and disappointed and guilty, and I just kept thinking, what would you tell your clients? What would you tell your clients in this moment? And what I would tell my clients is that guilt is really a powerful thing to let you know you have simply gone off track. You are out of the window and out of the range of the goals that you have set for yourself as a parent. And it's a gentle nudging to get back on course. Guilt isn't something that has an opinion. Guilt is not something that evaluates your worth. Guilt is just a nudge telling you that you've gone a little too far in a direction that you didn't want to be going. But it also is a reminder for you to look at what led up to this. What led up to that reaction? Because that reaction doesn't come from nothing. That reaction doesn't come from out of nowhere, and you're just going from 0 to 300 for no reason, right? Was I at 0% when I was putting my children to bed that night? Absolutely. I was at 0%. None of the needs that I had expressed had been met. And I was at a tipping point of dysregulation. I had a lot of fear about what was happening with the dog. I had a lot of sadness about what was happening with my father. I had a lot of built up frustration about the interactions and the dynamic that I had with my son for days and days and days on end. I was depleted with my inability to be able to do any of my self-care needs, any of my business needs, any of the things that I had hoped to do during spring break. And I had been pouring myself out to other people's needs for the entire week. And so at the final day, at the final straw, I hit the tipping point. And so did I feel guilty? Absolutely. Do I think that I could have showed up better in the moment? Probably. I probably could have. But when we talk about could versus should, and this is what I tell my clients often, is could says, could I have showed up differently? Yes. Could I have suppressed my feelings and emotions in that moment? Yes. Could I have left the room versus saying anything? Yes. Should I have? Well, should is just could, dripping in shame. Dripping in shame, which leads to guilt. Guilt gives me that opportunity, that gentle reminder that, oh, sweetheart, you went in the direction that didn't feel good to you. Didn't feel good to you. It didn't match up with your desires, your morals. It didn't match up with what you wanted, how you want to show up, how you practice showing up. So all we need to do is take a couple degrees to the left, a couple degrees to the right, and we get back on track. Guilt is a reminder to us that we get to repair. We get to go back in and we get to admit where we fell short, and we get to talk to our kids and we get to show them, listen, I didn't feel good about what just happened. I said some things I didn't mean, and I said out of anger because I was really frustrated. I felt hurt, and when hurt people are hurt, they try to hurt people. And I'm sorry that I did that, and you didn't deserve that. That's mine. And so I was able to go back and say to my son, you are not in charge of my feelings. You are not in charge of my dysregulation. And it is up to me to regulate myself. It is up to me to figure out a system that works. You are not responsible for my feelings. You are not responsible for my meltdowns. It's not your fault. And we can figure out systems that work for each other when we feel like tensions are rising. So it gave us a beautiful opportunity to go back and look at how we both contributed to the situation. And in fact, when I did make this repair with my son, he said, you should have yelled at me like that. Again, should. He said, you should have yelled at me like that. I wasn't being nice to you. And he goes, I deserved it. I did. And I said, you don't deserve my lashing out. You don't deserve my anger. But it gave him an opportunity to kind of reflect back and say, yeah, I was really pushing the boundaries there. I was really pushing your buttons as hard as I could. And I knew it, but I couldn't stop myself. We were kind of just in it. And we all know that runaway train when we're in conflict and it just kind of feels good to stay in conflict. And we know this. We know this with our ADHD kids is that even negative conflict, it still gives them that stimulation that they crave so desperately that they're seeking out. They are novelty seekers by nature. Novelty doesn't always have to be fun. Novelty is anything that gives them that sort of stimulation. And so he was stimulated. And while it was negative, he was in it. And so this gave us a really good opportunity to come up with a system for when we're both feeling really tense, when we're both feeling really heated and we're so angry and we're about to say something, we actually have a new system. We have a new code word. It's called zebra pants. And when somebody yells out zebra pants, no matter how mad we are at each other, we have to assume a position and we have to do a certain thing. And when we do that certain thing, we have to try really hard not to laugh at each other. So far, it's been very effective and very helpful. And I'm actually teaching this system inside my S.T.U.K program. I'm sure you have seen that I am now promoting my S.T.U.K program. This is kind of a segue. I didn't think I was going to talk about this today, but I'm going to share it anyways because it's really, really important information. So my S.T.U.K program really helps parents go from these vicious cycles that we cannot get out of, that we repeat day in and day out, and we get so depleted and we get resentful and we get frustrated, where we can truly only see our children as their behavior and we truly cannot separate them out. And because we have this lens of our behavior, we are triggered constantly and our fuse gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And we're actually not going through the full cycle of trying to support them and getting all the way to the end. And then we're snapping earlier and earlier and earlier. And we're getting shorter with our fuse and our threshold and our window of tolerance with our children. And we're jumping to harsh consequences so much faster because these triggers are hitting on these unresolved hurts, these wounds from the past that we have still unhealed in our bodies. And so we are lashing out at our children, right? We are in this horrible rhythm where we feel like the only thing we can do is grab for control any way we can. That's why we're throwing punishments. That's why we're throwing threats. That's why we are harsh with our language, because we are trying to regain control of this runaway train in any way we can to feel safer in our bodies. But the problem is we're operating on the knowledge that was passed down to us, which is crap. Let's be honest. It didn't serve us as kids, and it's not serving us as parents, and it's certainly not serving our kids. But we still are operating with that knowledge base because we have not evolved our set of skills. And so we remain stuck. We see the behavior, S. We are triggered constantly, T. We have unresolved hurts and wounds in our bodies, U. We are constantly grabbing for control, C. And we are relying on the knowledge, K, that has been passed down to us that is serving no one. But in this program, I actually teach you how to pinpoint each one of those challenges. And I give you systems, education, mindset shifts, skills to develop, so much stuff to go on that helps you get unstuck from these repetitive negative patterns that keep you stuck in this cycle of viciousness. Because we all know it can be very vicious with our strong-willed kids and our ADHD kids. And I help you not only go from stuck as a parent to strong as a parent, but you strengthen the relationship that you have with your child. And you actually teach them a tremendous amount of skills that will help serve them so much. I want to share my free guide to managing our kids' meltdowns. We know that meltdowns are normal, but they still suck and can be ridiculously triggering. This 4-step free guide will help you break the cycle of reactivity and help you get through the meltdown without snapping yourself. Don't join your kid in the tantrum. Grab my free guide and learn how to manage meltdowns like a pro. Head to responseableparenting.ck.page/meltdown, or just go and click the link in my show notes and get your guide today. Something I am so excited to be adding to this program is 5 specific ADHD lessons. And I think this is super, super important, especially because there's so much information and so much misinformation out there about ADHD and what it really is and signs to be looking for. So today, I'm actually kicking off the first of 5 individual ADHD training sessions. The first one is actually all about understanding the ADHD brain. We really need, especially as parents, a deeper understanding of this brain, what is actually happening, so we can see past this behavior and actually see our children, create systems, help them with skill development, and not take all this stuff so personally. Because let's admit, the problem and the challenge with this type of disorder is it comes out in behavior. And so it feels deeply personal. And I'm going to help you with a deeper understanding of that. And I'm going to help you with systems and strategies so that we can actually move past this. I'm going to talk about the 5 pitfalls that we often find ourselves in as parents to ADHD children. And I'm going to help you actually recognize the pitfall and give you a system and a strategy to get you out of that pitfall, to avoid it preemptively, right? Then we're going to talk about what happens when their impulses are raging and they're strong and their urges and their requests are hitting you at all angles, and you don't have the time, you don't have the availability, and it can't be met. And so how do we avoid the inevitable battle that comes when their wants and desires don't match the situation and can't actually happen, right? How do we meet them where they're at without a whole huge explosion? Then on Thursday, I'm talking about coping strategies for your children, really solid skills to develop with your children. And then on the last and final day, we are ending with, on Friday, coping strategies for the adults. How can we actually rejuvenate you so your window of tolerance isn't constantly being pushed to the peak? This is going to be massive information for you, and I cannot wait to share this with you. So the program is called S.T.U.C.K. If you have a strong-willed child, this is for you. If you have an ADHD child, this is for you. If you're wondering if you have a combo like I do of a strong-willed child and an ADHD child, this is for you. If you maybe think possibly your kid has ADHD, but they're undiagnosed and you don't quite know, but they're really deeply feeling they're incredibly strong-willed, this is for you. Because this isn't behavioral modification for your children. These are strategies for you that will help you whenever you are dysregulated. They will help you whenever you feel like you're moving out of your window of tolerance. So whatever is going on for your child, you will get systems and strategies and support for you so that you know how to tackle each of these moments and you don't feel like you're being sucked up into their tornadoes. You don't feel like you're being swept away in all of the chaos. So this is for you. I will link the information in the show notes. It is one of the most valuable things that you will be able to invest in your time as a parent, because it will give you such a deep understanding of who you are, what your goals are, how you can approach them in a totally different way, how you can shift in your mind how to approach these situations, how you can set up strategies for success so you're not constantly in reactive mode, you're not constantly in cleanup mode, that you're actually ahead of this. So that when it comes your way, you're like, oh, I know what to do. Oh, I've seen this before. Oh, I was expecting this. Oh, this came at the exact time she said it would. And now I know what to do. So I invite you to join me in this workshop, S.T.U.C.K. It is an absolute game changer. The doors are now open, and the doors will, in fact, close on Sunday, May 18th. So you have until Sunday, May 18th to get these. I cannot wait to share. If you want to jump in right now, do so, because I am teaching these workshops live, these 5 bonus ADHD workshops live this week. So you could get in there live, ask a couple questions, and we can get in even further. I so look forward to supporting you, and I cannot wait to see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Responsible Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method, Branding and Podcasting.